Get every bowl pick from Joe Duffy through the national championship game. Just $189. It's at offshoreinsiders.com. Joe Duffy's picks, the winningest sports service ever at offshoreinsiders.com. You want winners in other sports? We got that too. All at offshoreinsiders.com. Now let's take a look at the Las Vegas Bowl preview, USC and Fresno State. I'm Grandmaster Handicapper Joe Duffy, CEO of offshoreinsiders.com. Of course, as we always say, is it truly a neutral game? We always want to take a look at how far each team has traveled. Pretty much even here, Fresno State's going to travel 261 miles for USC, 229 miles. Now, Fresno State is 11-1 straight up, but 5-7 against the spread. Those of you who are familiar with our dichotomous straight up and against the spread theory, which basically says when a team has a very good spread record, but not so good not so good straight up record, or vice versa. Generally, that's a good way to measure an over or undervalued team, and you usually go with the spread mark when betting, but again, we're just talking about a check mark in a team's column. You're crazy if you ever blindly bet that, much less any angle. But will this be a consolation game for Fresno State? First loss in their 11th game of the year. They were expected to be a BCS spoiler team, but they had the rug pulled out from under them, so this could potentially be one of those kissing their sister bowls. They did, though, rebound from that loss the next week with a 7-point win to Utah State. Now, USC offensive coordinator Clay Helton is going to be the third head coach USC has had all year. Obviously, they fired Monty Kiffin. Then they had Ed Orgeron, but Orgeron was not given the permanent job, so he abruptly resigned. Helton, though, is the guy who called the plays after Kiffin was fired, and USC clearly was much better with Helton calling the plays. They scored 7 to Washington State under Lane Kiffin, which wasn't very impressive at all. Washington State, wide open team, gives up a lot of points. They only managed 7. But then they averaged 30 points per game during its 6-2 stretch under Ed Orgeron. USC holds teams to 0.7 yards per play below their normal average, including 1.2 yards per pass below. Fresno State, of course, has Derek Carr, who led the nation with 405.5 passing yards per game, 39 yards more than anyone else. Carr threw for 4,866 yards and 48 touchdowns with just 7 interceptions. However, Fresno did not exactly face a tough schedule. So, depending on what USC's mental state is here, and that is what handicappers are going to have to determine. Rest assured, before we make a premium play, we're going to be checking a lot of our online sources closer to the situation to get a better feel at what people really close to the program believe will be USC's mental situation as they approach the game. Remember, all the best picks throughout the bowls, offshoreinsiders.com, from only the best handicappers in the nation, no exception, offshoreinsiders.com.